a lot of people leaving their jobs. Millennials in general are leaving their jobs in record numbers. I can't give you the exact data point, but they are leaving their job in record numbers. And this is something that we are starting to see more and more of. And it's something that's kind of progressed throughout this pandemic. We've seen a lot of people just decide, all right, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this job anymore. I don't want to deal with this pressure anymore. And they've just kind of made the decision that they were going to just do their own thing, whatever that may be. I think this has been a time we've seen a lot of people start their dream businesses, their dream job, whatever that may be. They've decided, all right, I'm not punching clock no more. I'm tired of all this stuff. I'm gonna do what's best for me. And so I guess kind of just to get this whole thing started, just first and foremost, what do you all just kind of think of those people who are just deciding, not like in a pejorative way, but like what do you all think of people who are deciding that, enough is enough. I'm done with this. Like not even to the point of just like starting their own new thing, but just to have the courage to quit their job in the first place. What do you all think of that?
Um, I mean, I think it's good. I mean, well, it's good in the sense that I feel like people are prioritizing themselves and their own, well-being, whether it's financial or mentally, over the old school thinking of, oh, well, it's the right thing to do. You have to go to work. You just have to work. You have to work for work to build something that's bigger than you, right? It's not, you're just a cog in the machine, but you're all in day's hard work, all those little platitudes and stuff. I feel that's like how older generations have felt, just obligated to work even if they hated their job or they were treated unfairly. And I think as younger people, millennials, Gen Zers, we prioritize ourselves more, and maybe some of the older generations would say that's selfish or short-sighted. But in cases like this, if you're people aren't quitting their jobs for no reason, right? There are reasons
Mhm.
why. They don't feel they're not paid enough, they're not taken care of, they're being put into dangerous situations. So in that sense, I mean, it's a positive thing. But are there like drawbacks to things like this? Oh, certainly, of course. But just on the surface of it, people are taking control of their lives. They're empowering themselves to make decisions and not motivated simply by, oh, it's the right thing to do, or empty platitudes, or I need this job. So in that sense, I think it can be a positive thing.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing too, like about our generation in particular, like a lot of older people might give us slack, like even talking to my parents about like, hey, like I'm want to ask for a raise like after a year one, or oh, I want to go to another job after year one. Like they look at me like, or sometimes talk to me like, oh, like what? Like what do you mean? You haven't been there long, but at the same time, like I feel like because of the advancement of technology, because we're one of the most educated generations like ever, you know what I'm saying? Especially for black people, like we learn things a lot faster, or we have a skill set that is easy to like apply to any job. Like we're able to pick up certain things faster. We don't need 10 years on a job just to learn, or just to be good at the job. You get what I'm saying? A lot of times some of us can be good like within a year or two. So when we do ask for those raises, or when we do say like we're looking for other jobs that can match like what we think we're worth, like then that's not as crazy as a lot of people might seem. Like I know they kind of chalk it up to millennials can be impatient, or oh, millennials like always they don't want to work at it, be anywhere long. But a lot of times, like yeah, like we a year or two's worth of work, like we've put in like comparatively like what y'all put in like within 5 years at your job when you were our age. You get what I'm saying? So like it is tough. Like when you think about it, I get like sometimes you do got to have like sweat equity in companies, like for people to trust you. But at the same time, like we need to redefine what that sweat equity means. Like I said, like we can achieve or learn what in 2 years, what y'all learned in five. Like, you get what I'm saying? So that's my opinion on it.
Mm. Um, I have a different take a little bit, right? So, well, mine is like I agree everything what everyone's saying, but I think we also don't really think about the people that are still at these jobs and how like the pressure that's putting on them. Like, what about this server? What about the people
Mm.
that like were okay with maybe not necessarily like their pay, but like they really believed in their career, like nurses, for example. And then you have now
Hmm.
other nurses are
Yeah.
quitting, and now it's putting the pressure on them to continue to do their job, and now maybe it's spoiling their passion. So I think, yes, I agree with people wanting to get out and want to, take a chance on themselves and make more money. But I actually really obviously blame more so the companies and the way society is that has made us feel this way. Like, why should we have to feel like
Mhm.
we have to, you have to, you have to love what you do to make money. You know what I'm saying, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, there's some people that just want to, be a sanitation worker. Like, why does that have to be a low paying job? Like, why does it? You know what I'm saying? Like, why does that have to be a certain way? And I think that, again, like on the other side, like the people that are still with these jobs that are still, fighting or believing that passion, those are the people who are eventually going to be burned out too. And then now we're just going to have a hollow system where people at some point maybe are just chasing jobs because they want a higher raise rather than actually being passionate about their job. Like, what are the days where you actually have passion about your job and not just trying to get a paycheck? I'm not saying everybody that's doing that is leaving their job for a paycheck, but like, it's gonna we gotta it's some people that I think are mercury in the waters. Like, what I'm saying? Like, I get the frontline workers, like I get that. But then there's other people that had, maybe had something good, and now they're just like, well, if everybody's quitting, I'm about to go quit too. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, where's that type of loyalty in a way, or career loyalty rather, not to the company, but just in general. So I don't know.
Yeah, good point. That's a good
That's a
point.
good point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because that's what I said. I think in theory, like, I think having the ability to just quit is good, but if everybody just takes that ability to do it, then the world doesn't work. And I do think it's case by case basis. I mean, nobody's job is 100% perfect. There's going to be a lot of times where you're struggling and it's going to be really hard, and
Mhm.
we can't just quit all the time. I do think, especially with people our age, and I don't mean this in like a mean way, but I do think there's a tendency for us to quit when things aren't very, very easy. Like, oh, I'd had like a bad couple months or bad 2 months in my job, so I just don't want to do this anymore. If it's in, sometimes that might work out for the best of you, but I do think there's something to be said for growing within a job, giving a job a chance, and then like Malik said, you just quit, and then all of a sudden, the people that are still there who can't just quit, they have to take on added responsibilities. They have to take on
Yeah.
more shifts. They have to do more, wear more hats, wear more roles. So I mean, at that point, I guess it's just like the person over the group situation.
Mhm.
But quitting a job, everybody's situation is different, right? Because I think it's good to be able to get out of a situation that's bad, but if you quit your job and you're not, and you can't just walk into another job, well, that creates
Yeah.
its own problems, right? You quit this one job and then you want to go in this field, but if you're not qualified for that field, then you're kind of screwed. So it's good. It's a good in theory, but the practicality
Also,
of it, I
look at
guess,
a
remains to
healthcare
be seen.
perspective too.
Right?
Like, a lot of people that quit their job, they don't
Yeah.
even think about, like, if you want to do health care. I mean, like, if you want health care, you got to go either with Cobra, which is probably 4 times more expensive than what your employer was offering you, or you can go Obamacare, which is, again, has a high
Yep.
deductible. Like, I know a lot of times, like, it might be a knee jerk reaction, but I just feel like, again, it kind of goes to our last topic we talked about. Like, everybody just want instant gratification. And like, I like this quote that I always tell people, like, on my job or people that are like having a hard time, is like, are you willing to sprint when the distance is unknown? Like, that is the question that you had to ask yourself, like with anything, whether it be a relationship, whether it be a like a job. Like, are you willing to see, what I'm saying, this through, even if you don't know how long it's going to take? And if the answer is no, then okay, then go, what I'm saying, to something else. But if you're willing to sprint, and that's a lot of people that probably would, that are successful, that probably had a lot of moments in their life where they're like, man, I could have quit. I mean, Bama's could have been, that was in their car. You know what I'm saying? Like, could have quit, could have, what I'm saying, not gone to that acting gig or gone to this interview. And then, look at them, look how that turned out. So I think we need to take a page out of their book of, what I'm saying, just kind of seeing things through, like, or putting a timetable on it, not just doing a knee jerk reaction. Like, my boss pissed me off, I'm quitting. Like, no, like, there's gonna be good days, there's gonna be bad days at every company.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I was
No,
gonna
I agree.
say, I think one of the bigger Well, it's two things. One though, just kind of to stay on what you were talking about, like in terms of like people quitting for their checks. I think one of the biggest things that you're seeing today is a lot of people aren't just quitting to get a job that pays more. A lot of people actually are quitting to do something they actually want to do. Like in that case, they actually are quitting, and it is to the point where you're talking about, like healthcare and those type of things, where it's like, what about healthcare or your bills? Things that are a little bit, you're not thinking about them as much in that moment. A lot of people actually are quitting their jobs, and they're like stepping into things like somebody may quit a job in finance and say, look, man, I want to be a candle maker. Like, candle making is what brought me joy over these past 5 years. I think that I can just make candles and I can make a living. That is kind of something that you're also seeing. You're seeing people kind of say life is too short, and they're just deciding, all right, life is short. I don't want to be in finance every day trying to do this competitive job or something like that. So I'm going to go switch over and do something a little bit more creative. And, the financial freedom may not be there, but it's like, maybe I'll be happier. I think that is like the biggest thing about it is they're choosing them from a mental health perspective. Like you're deciding that, my job is stressful. And yes, I may struggle with the backside of this decision, but they are making decisions that aren't completely based on checks, which I think is commendable to an extent because, money, at the end of the day, yeah, money makes the world go around. There's no lie there. That is the honest to God truth. But to be able to say that you're going to forego money in order to do something that makes you a little bit happier, if it means that you'll be able to sleep at night, that is something different. And I mean, one of the things that I guess we don't always think about or that, is a little different is I feel like as Black people in general, we don't get that luxury to even like have that train of thought. Like for a lot of us, the biggest thing that we are taught is you're going to keep that job. That job is good. You're not getting rid of that job, especially, like it's an old school thing, but like you get you a government job, they're gonna tell you damn sure better not give that up because that government job, a good job, good benefits is gonna hold you into the future. And so I think that's like the next layer of that conversation where it's just like, like as a Black person, Black man, Black woman, any type of Black person, you're not at the point for a lot of us. How many of our parents would agree with that decision? Not to say that, white parents all agree with that or any type of thing like that, but, as a Black person specifically speaking, how many of us are going to tell our parents we quitting tomorrow and they'll be like, I get it, baby, do your thing.
It's a big point. And one thing that I've learned too, like in my short career, is like a lot of times people are going to look out for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had the unique experience of two directors of my job or two of my bosses just deciding, hey, I want to do something else, randomly. And that shakes the whole system. You know what I'm saying? You expect these directors to be there forever. You expect to leave before them for sure. Like, but for your bosses to be like, hey, I want a new opportunity or I want a new job. Like people are going to look out for themselves, like whether it's because of their kids or whether because their wife wants to move here or whether because they feel like they're undervalued. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's across the board, like not just with our generation, but people older who are realizing like, hey, I can get a lot more money working for this other place than I'm getting working for my current job. Well, I can have a lot more family balance. I can see my kids grow up like working for this other job as opposed to like working through the stress of this current job. So I feel like it's a lot of layers, like Dante was saying, like that goes into it. Like yeah, like you want to put that sweat equity in. There's a lot of people in a lot of jobs, like you kind of have to. You kind of do have to get work at a certain company or at least in a certain industry where you can get your name out there, where people know who you are for you to continue to grow in that field. Like you can't just bounce around because then, like if you experience, I forgot who said this quote, but you're experiencing a little bit of everything. You're not good at really anything. You know what I'm saying? Like you got all these little skills, but like what are you known for? So I understand that, but at the same time, like you gotta, one thing to understand, especially for people who are entering the workforce, is that a lot of times people are going to look out for themselves. So I'm not saying saying you should be completely selfish, but at the same time, you kind of got to be a little bit selfish when it comes to your future, when it comes to your family, when it comes to your career path. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah, and I mean it's different depending on the position we're talking about. If you're like an entry level position or like a junior level or associate, I mean, not that you don't work hard, because you work hard. Trust me. I worked the hardest out of my entire career when I was
hell yeah
first started in my job as like an entry level financial associate or whatever the title was, junior financial analyst. That was the most I worked. But as far as like quitting and leaving, it's easier for a person in that position to quit and leave than like somebody who's like a lead or
A VP.
division leader or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, or like a CFO or C-suite. So, you know, it's different for everybody. Like, I mean, for most people and the people probably listening to our podcast right now, you know, but probably we're still growing in our career. I mean, I don't imagine there's too many CEOs that listen or like head people, but if you are, shout out to you, salute to you. But my point is, like, it's while we have the opportunity to go and experience other things and quit, like, do it now, right? Like, you don't want to wait until, you know, you're a director of your whole department and you literally have like 15, 20 people like who depend on you.
Yeah.
And if you left, like, obviously they'll hire someone eventually, but I've seen it in plenty of jobs. When a head person leaves, it throws off the dynamic of everything. People get stressed because people have to take on different roles. That causes problems. So, you know, if you're young and you want to go and be a candle maker, like Dante said, like, it's better to do that then when you have the opportunity. You have less people relying on you, and it's more about you solidifying your foundation. As opposed, like, I was reading this story about this YouTuber whose videos I used to watch, and, you know, she had a whole thing where she had this incident on Twitter, and it was like a cancel culture type thing. She decided to take time off. She stopped doing YouTube videos, but like her videos are like a production, right? She has like 4 people who do the videos for her, who put stuff together, and their full-time job is making her videos for her. So if she stops doing that because it's stressful, those 4 people, they get their health insurance by being employed by her, right? So like, it's different if we just say, oh fuck, I don't feel like doing this anymore. We're not really supporting anybody through this. So like, the levels are different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess that kind of like brings me to like the biggest question that I have, would just be kind of, my thing was just, you know, would that be something that you all would look into? And if so, what is it that you would do? If you decided today, you know, I quit. Like, if you were to walk into your job tomorrow and just say that you quit, is it something that you think you'd be able to do? And, you know, what would you decide to look into? Like, for me personally, if I were to ever just, I like security too much, so I know I couldn't do it. I'm too scared of just like being ass out. So I don't think I could ever get to a point where I just quit a job. They'd have to commit some sort of serious offense to me in order to get me to just straight up just say, I quit my job. I know I can't do it. So that's why I'm just asking, like, generally speaking, will you think that you all could do it? You know, if so, what would you lean to? Because for me, the answer just straight up to start with is no. I can't just quit unless I know I have something in the bag. Like, as much as I love doing this and I would love like a podcast to be like the way I make money, I couldn't just say, I quit my job. This podcast thing, I'm going to figure it out. Because if I quit my job and decide this podcast thing is how we doing it, we going to have that fight on Bennett Road.
Yeah.
That's the point.
That's big. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't want to jump unless they see what's in front of them. Like, you don't want to just jump blindly into something. So I think there's a lot of people who, and even my philosophy, how like almost similar to what Malik was saying, like have a plan B. Like, what's your next option? Like, in case things don't work out at your current job, what would you do next? So always thinking forward. That's kind of my philosophy. But I know, like, I'm always torn with this, especially with this podcast. Like, to be an entrepreneur, you kind of have to be willing to jump in some certain situations. Like, not necessarily not knowing where your check. Well, I guess that's most of the case in the entrepreneur scenario, not knowing where your check's coming from, but like being willing to jump in front of putting yourself out there, like just trying new content, things, getting out of your comfort zone. Like, that's a lot of things that you have to do to be an entrepreneur. So I'm always torn between that. But like, I think a lot of us, like, especially in our who grew up okay, like we grew up in decent circumstances. We not dying for any meals. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're pretty well off compared to most. But like, a lot of people in our situation were not willing to give up that security to try something new in order to get to the next level. So I feel like for me personally, and I want to get out of this, to be frank, like, because I feel like for any type of growth, you kind of do need to be uncomfortable in a certain extent, like not necessarily like not knowing where your check's coming from, but you gotta know, like, be comfortable with everybody not liking you, or be comfortable doing something you never did before. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's a balance in that. Right now, I'm gonna say, like, I always lean to having a plan B or having some type of safety thing, but I do hope to get to a place where I am able to just jump. Like, if I want to try something new or start a new business or a side business, like being willing to jump into that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I think there's a difference between emotionally emotionally just said deciding, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, and I had like some type of inciting incident, and you're like, I'm done. You're just leaving,
Yeah.
and like a conscientious, all right, this isn't trending the way I want it to be, so I'm gonna plan out how to transition out of this. Me personally, in general, I try not to ever what's the word, react out of emotion or make decisions out of emotion, whether it's like dealing with conflict or anything like that, because I don't know. I don't feel like I don't know. I think this is like it's like one of those things where you can be emotional or you can be like smart in a situation like that. If you decide one day this is not what I want to do, I want to move to California and I want to be a YouTuber, and you say, all right, I'm gonna move to California. I figure out the place I want to live at. I have X amount of dollars saved up, and I'm gonna take a a pay cut. I'm not gonna work my desk job that gave me $70 to $80 to $90,000 a year. I'm gonna work at Whataburger or whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine to me. Like that's your plan, and that's gonna work out for you, and that's
Right.
what you want to do, and you have your foundation, and you're gonna work towards your goal. That's totally fine to me. I don't see what the problem is there. It's just, oh, I'm screw it. I'm moving to California, and let the chips fall as they may. Because I know a lot of people after college or like a couple months after college, you just say, oh, I'm going to California. What are you doing in California?
Yeah. A couple
Yep.
people like that too.
Alright.
Yeah.
Vibes, cool. Most of those people don't live in California anymore, but I mean, so I think it's just being measured. But a lot of people act out of emotion, right? That's humans are emotional beings,
Human
and
beings. Yeah.
I don't know. I personally, I couldn't just make a decision, like a life-changing decision, in like a couple of seconds or a couple of hours. That's just not how my brain is wired. Like the idea of that is crazy to me. Like literally, like that is like, wow. Someone told me, oh yeah, quit my job, moving to Texas, gonna be a jalapeno farmer. I'll be like, wow, all right, cool, okay. I wouldn't even know how your brain got to that. But different people are different. But yeah, me personally,
Actually,
no.
that's like a good plan. Jalapeno farmer ain't bad.
Jalapenos are
YouTuber.
Listen. Oh well, look, I saw something the other day. It said, not a study, but just like an article where like they just got a bunch of like middle schoolers or high schoolers. What's your dream job? Like overwhelming percentage of them said YouTuber. So that's the new cool thing to be.
I mean, at this point,
Yeah, that's scary too. Goddamn.
a lot of kids have YouTube and posting videos and shit right now too.
Yeah. Malik, what about
I
you?
think the biggest thing with just the whole situation is it's tough. Like when I'm kind of leaning towards like Darian's idea, like, but if you have just to answer the first question, like if I would have quit my job tomorrow, I would have to have like foundation in place, like at least 6 months of savings. That would make me feel good. But I also like remember how I felt when I was first out of school, and like when I was fresh out of college, and everybody was like, like you got to apply to jobs and you got to do all this and all that, and I literally treated that like it was a 9 to 5. Like I literally would wake up at 8 o'clock, 8:30, get my coffee, and I would sit on a laptop and send resumes all day because I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be like, so I had a goal, I had a vision to, make $100,000 by 25 or do all this, get a house, like, and like in order to really sometimes feel that, you have to put yourself in that position to be vulnerable or to be with your semi back against the wall. Like I'm not talking about being reckless, but it's like if you again we're kind of just taking a combination of what Aaron said. Like if you have a plan and you have 6 months of savings or you have a safety net where you can just be like, hey man, like I'm about to go pursue this IT career. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go full force. But right now I can't do full force because my job is taking so much time away from me. But I truly believe in this IT career and how it's gonna change and transform my life. I'm just gonna have to go out there and just take a leap of faith. And if it doesn't work out, at least I know that 6 months that I went hard, something's gonna land. You know what I mean? Because I'm my best when my back is against the wall. I'm not saying everybody's that way, but I think there's a smart way to go about it. And I think sometimes that we're just too comfortable. Like I think you got to err on the side of the caution where yes, having longevity or having some years with a company is great, but you also need to be. You can't just get into a rhythm where you just clocking in, you punching in, you punching out. Are you really learning anything at that point? Like comfortability is great and all, but the really way you grow is by taking chances at work, raising your hand for a project that you've never done before, and being comfortable, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like when you're uncomfortable, you know for a fact that you're growing, and um, that's just how I feel about just anything I go after. It's like I want to kind of put myself in that position, but then I also am human, and I fall into the trap where comfortable feels good. Like I wouldn't mind sometimes collecting,
Yeah.
but then there's also days where I'm like, damn, I'm glad I went through that. I'm glad I did that speech or I did that project because now next thing come up, this is what I'm saying, it's water, it's easy. So that's how I would approach the situation.
Yeah, you hunt best when you're hungry. To be quite honest, like a lot of times when your back's against the wall, they always say that's when not to comparison animals, but that's when the animal's most dangerous. You get what I'm saying? Like when you don't have any other option, or when you're limited in choices, like that's when you're going to push like your absolute best. You get what I'm saying? To go for it. So yeah, it is a toss up between like being willing to be comfortable to be uncomfortable, but I think that's a big part of growth. You get what I'm saying? Like we kind of have to get to some point of that in order to progress in whatever our careers are. Like whether it's the extreme of quitting your job to be an entrepreneur or quitting your job to like realizing like you're not valued and to the point like you're willing to leave. Like I'm gonna find another job. And I think a big part of that is like having confidence and trusting yourself, like to take that leap of faith. Like, yeah, you don't know where the next landing point is going to be, or you don't know there's going to be something to catch you, but you trust yourself. Like, hey, I'm gonna figure this shit out. Like, I know, like when I'm in uncomfortable situations, I know that I'm a smart person, or I know that you gotta trust your skill set at the same time, and that's one thing that I'm working on as well. Like with taking those leaps, because yeah, like it's scary, like not knowing, but at the same time, you gotta trust, like look in the past, like I've dug myself out of these situations, or I've progressed up these ladders that I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And so you got trust yourself.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's I feel like that's really, really, really good life advice. One of the not mottos, but one of the sayings that people say in my company or where I work at is thrive being uncomfortable. So
Yep.
especially now, it's just the most uncomfortable time like probably we'll ever have in our hopefully this is the most uncomfortable time we have in the course of our lives. So but yeah, like just don't be reckless, just like think through, be smart, get into good trouble, like John Lewis used to say, right?
Yeah.
God damn, man. That was
Oh,
good.
Get in good trouble. Yeah, that's sad.
Hey, I'm about to say you had
Yeah.
it. You yet again. You really be on a roll, Aaron. You just got to learn how to just go ahead, just push the train on through after you say that.
Damn.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't know. I usually don't get to. They don't let me.
We let you.
They don't let me be on the front of the stage
Second time.
usually. I'm Tito. No, I'm not. You gotta treat me like I'm the Tito in a group. I'm clearly Michael.
This nigga.
Yeah, so this is the Hentations episode 88. Yeah, thank you for joining us this week. You've just been booted from your spot, by the way.
That sucked. No, what you gotta give me something. You gotta steal my.
No, one time. Let us not forget. One time I did the intro to the podcast. I did that joint so well that you got angry and restarted the podcast.
That was like 20. If it was pre-COVID,
that was early on, like shit too.
If that was pre-COVID, like bro, shit, get out of here, man.
Nah, we were sitting in your house. There. I know that I had some good energy. I had that joint.
I didn't know it was here.
Oh. Yeah, we was in your house. I remember that joint.
Somehow it was in 2014. I don't know how, but it was. Bullshit.
It was 2014. It was 2014.
Yes.
When you lived in Philly.
It was in the old group chat. That's what it was. Like, yeah.
At some point, we were supposed to take turns leading off the podcast. I remember that. That's funny as shit.
Hey, I mean,
we don't change everything, right?
You have a gripe? All right, cool, man. Shit.
Yo, look,
no, I
man,
don't have a gripe. No,
Hey,
I'm,
look, man,
I'm
Festivus
comfortable
ain't.
with
If you
You're
want to
not too
have
far removed from
your
Festivus.
beta ass intro with Festivus is past, but if you want to have your beta ass
Go ahead. I'm
weak
sorry.
noodle outro, go for it. It was
not
very
weak noodle.
uninspiring.
All the time. All the time.
Very
I'm
uninspiring.
not
It's
gonna
like
let
when
this
you
nigga
shake
call
someone's
us
hand.
betas. He's not going.
Like,
He said
He's
weak
not
it's like when
noodle
you shake
too.
someone's hand
Bruh,
and it's
he
just like
called
kind
us
of
betas,
loose.
though.
Like, yeah, betas. You
This
cuck.
nigga, get out of here with your incel internet words, nigga. You calling us beta males. Get out of here. You gonna fight me down?
I've been listening to Fresh and
Nigga out
Fit.
here with-
Oh my god.
I'm
Nigga be out here
sorry.
using nigga be out here using fresh and fit in Fox News terms because the only people that call people beta males are either ultra conservatives or ultra woke niggas. There is
Beta
no
male
in
is
between.
hilarious, bro.
Bro, if you call a
Beta?
nigga a beta male, you gotta fight him right after.
Oh,
Because if
you're
they call you beta male,
beta.
that basically means he just saying you ain't a man.
Yeah, man. Oh, you a man?
That
You
is
know,
a wild term.
you a man. You just, you know,
I'm
like,
a secondary man.
you just gotta cuck your wife out. That's all.
Damn.
Yo, fam, nigga use beta
Damn.
and cuck in the
Damn.
same podcast. I gave you the opportunity to close, and this is how you repay us?
Well, that's how I know when I
If
find a
you're a
new
beta
YouTube
cuck.
channel that I can't watch it anymore because I just like watching YouTube essays. But sometimes if I get in there and the comments would be having cuck and beta, and I'm like, oh, all right, well, that's not where I need to be.
Shout out to all the beta cucks out there.
Shout out to the beta cucks. I mean, listen,
I think
you're
we're
a
not
small.
naming episodes random shit anymore. That's
Yo,
crazy.
because this will be beta cuck. It definitely would be beta cuck. If we
beta
were
cuck
still
will be
doing that, for
crazy.
sure. Absolutely. And the picture on it would be a picture of Ted Cruz. But
All right, when we make our flag football team next year, we're gonna be the beta cucks.
fam, I'm
no one will ever
I'm
see
not
us
playing
coming.
for the beta cucks.
No one would ever
I'm not
see us
playing.
coming. They think we'll be beta cucks. Then we get in there and kick everybody's ass. It's a great plan.
Don't underestimate us, Dante. We
Oh.
got it. That's
Yeah,
the
I
advantage.
guess. I can't backpedal that well. Can I be a D lineman on the fantasy on the football team? My backpedaling skills are trash.
God
Malik
damn
hit
it,
me with a
Dante, you
double
can be
move
head
when we played
cheerleader.
beach football.
You can
I'm
be head
sorry,
cheerleader.
man.
We're woke. You know, you can.
Thank you.
You
Thank
can
you. Thank you.
put up
I
the
play
little
soft
signs.
coverage. I
Oh,
don't want to
well,
play
see?
defense.
Play zone.
Bro, my go route's on point. My go route's on point. I can't backpedal. It's,
Who the
you know,
fuck?
if I quit my job though,
Okay.
I'll be able to learn how to backpedal.
All right. So in
There you go.
addition to you guys, we needing you guys to send us fight ideas. We need somebody to fill out the flag Hentation flag football team because apparently Beta Cuck Dante will be unable to help us next year. So
God damn.
Yeah.
Gonna be beta cut. Hey, screw you, bro. I'll be Trayvon Diggs out here. I'm gonna give up a lot of
man.
yards, but I'm gonna get some
BCD.
back.
Damn.
Beta
no,
cuck,
change your name to
Dante.
BCD. Yeah.
BCD. You want me
All
changing
right.
this chat right now? What beta
Yes,
cuck?
right
my
now.
God.
BCD.
I hate this
For your
nigga.
man, shut up,
You know I
Cole
would
here
if this
for
wasn't-
episode 88.
Yo, it's your man's
BCD, go
unruly
ahead,
Dante,
DW,
he
aka
really
Beta
called you
Cuck
Silver
Dante
the
here.
Hedgehog.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
crazy. Anyway, it's your boy Malik, aka They Be Geeking Leak.
And it's your boy Darian, aka Clark Kent, and these are the Hentations.
Damn, that's smooth.